Hi, I'm Barbara the Weaver.
In college, I was an interior design major. I sew. I have made everything from wedding gowns to men's three-piece suits. I do needlework. I have quilted. My design background allows me to have a good eye for design and color, so I use that when I'm making things. And I have for years made baby blankets and throws and things for friends, jewelry, things like that. And I have, over the years, developed a talent for being able to design things that other people really like. It's quite a journey of mine, and I'm just beginning. I set up my new loom, and I just put a small amount of warp on to do a sample piece. This is a Mighty Wolf, which is made by Shocked. This comes in 3 different sizes. There's a wolf pup, a baby wolf, and a Mighty Wolf. And this is the Mighty Wolf, and the difference is only in the width. I had not worked on this particular loom before. They're very well made. It folds to a width of only 18 inches, which can pretty much be just pushed up against a wall and be kept out of the way. So far, I'm very, very happy the loom is performing well. Yeah, I'm actually cutting the warp here and loosely knotting it. If I was going to use the exact same setup again, I could leave the warp on the loom and tie the new warp to it and then not have to thread the whole thing, but I'm not going to be doing that because this was a special setup just for that. Now when I come to the other end, after I unrolled it, I actually can just slide it off of the other lease stick. I'm taking out the dividers, the little strips of paper I use to separate out the warp. This is my sample test piece, which is just a narrow piece to test out different patterns. So this first section is all plain weave or tabby. It's a balanced weave over and under. Then I did a basket weave, which is a slightly different pattern where you're going over 2 warps. Then a double basket weave where you're having 2 strands of weft through each. And then I did some rib weave with 1 color weft and then with 2 colors of weft. And that makes a difference in what the end result is on how it looks. Then I did a 1 in 3 twill where you have 1 shed comes up at a time. So your weft goes over 3 shafts or 3 sets of warps at one time. So you end up with a lot of the weft on the surface of the fabric. And this you would use if you had some kind of fancy weft that you wanted to show off. And it gives you a fluffier appearance. Then I did a balanced 2x2 twill, which gives you a nice even texture, which is somewhat similar to plain weave, though you end up with a diagonal pattern going through the fabric. And you can see that I was still using the variegated yarn, so the color pops in and out. Then I did a 3-1 twill, which is 3 harnesses up at a time and 1 down. So you see mostly the warp, and the weft just comes out as little itty bitty crosses. The up and down the middle is doubled up in order to keep the threading even for the sample piece to make the twill directional, 2 different directions. And it was an even number of warp, and I didn't want it to come out uneven on the edge, so I just doubled up the middle. It also makes it easier to see where the pattern changes, go in different directions. And this is called a point twill. It's a balanced one 2x2. So you're doing the 2x2 twill, but you're working over and back. So instead of following in sequence to get the diagonal, you go back and forth, and it gives you this zigzag. Here where there's a stripe in the warp, and there's 2 different colors, you can see the zigzag really showing up. Over on the other side where the variegated warp is, it's not so visible. If you look in the middle, the zigzag is less prominent, where the colors are both the same, but it gives you a really nice texture. These are the kind of things I wanted to find out from doing the sample piece and to help me plan to do future projects. Then I switched to a different color weft, did some plain weave, did a little bit of basket, then I did a little bit of twill, and then I did something I hadn't tried before, which is double weave. And as you can see, it actually creates two pieces. Double weave can be done for many different reasons. It can be very useful for three-dimensional wall art. You can make pockets and stuff them, but you're actually weaving both sides at the same time. And you'll notice how the weft looks much denser because you're only using half of the warp for each piece of fabric. And after I finished the double weave, I wanted to explore some of the other stitches. So I put some strips in to separate it out, and I started a second sample piece to do a little more checking of color interactions and how best to get the sides to come out even. And I experimented with some other stitches. One of the things I tried was an uneven twill, where instead of getting a diagonal, you mix up the order of the treadles so you get a nice texture. And the sample pieces were very, very important since I hadn't woven since I was in college, which was in 1982. So do the math, you can figure out it was a very long time. I'm using this sample to help me plan what I want to make and how I want to work forward. And I'm planning to start by doing some wool shawls. I want to make some interesting things with color and tone on tone, and try to use some unique yarns to create things that are very unique. I don't see the point of making handmade things that are what you could buy in a store anywhere else.
I hope you've enjoyed our first video. We will hope to make many more. I can't wait to show you some of the creative things I'm going to do with it. And I have lots of plans, as I have lots of yarn here in my handy little storage cabinet. We'll hope to see you real soon. And I hope you buy something too.
I hope you join me on this journey, because so far it's just been fascinating. And it is really amazing after so many years to go back and relearn something. You know, it's really just been a wonderful ride so far, and I know the best is yet to come.